What's up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video. Happy Sunday. You know, Christmas is coming up. I'm gonna be chilling. But anyway, um, I wanted to do this quick video. I always say it's quick and it becomes an hour, but we'll see. Jada Black did a video, and I did put it in the community tab before, so y'all can definitely check it out after this video. But one of the things he was talking about something else, but he got into like men not approaching and how approaching is basically, he said approaching is going by the wayside, and here's his points as to why. And all these points were good points. I'm not disputing them. What I really want to do is kind of answer some of the points and address some of the points, because I have a different opinion. And I think, I think one of the major issues is dudes are not approaching. But I understand where he's coming from with it. So here's the thing. The quick synopsis is he was doing a video, and in the video, he pretty much talks about, why women tend to date the same dude over and over and over again in other dudes. Like, women have a type. He's talking particularly about, he says melanated women, but let's call it black women. Call it what the fuck it is. But yeah, I can see how Hispanic women can fall in the same boat to a certain extent as well. And how women tend to date the same dude, and the only time they switch out of the dude is if they were in a relationship like at a very young age, and then basically they gravitate to the edgy dudes, the thugged out dudes, the pookie dudes. The same fucking argument that a lot of dudes in the manosphere keep fucking having. The same type of nigga, the same type of 20% nigga that is having all these kids, but for some reason it's all black men's fault that black women are knocked up, when the reality is it's only about 18 to 20% of black men that are not married that are really knocking up kids at that level. And then everybody wants to then talk about how common law makes the same bullshit, the same deflections. But these are clearly the same, the type of dudes that the majority of black women like, and this is across classes. I'm not even gonna have that goddamn argument anymore, because I'm tired of women and dudes deflecting from that like that's not true. The stats are there. We've been around. We've sat here for like 2019 is over. You can look at this decade. You can look at going into 2000s. You got 20 years of this shit, at least 15 of seeing this. And now you see motherfuckers that was born in that 2005 is 15 years old now. So the shit is like beyond baked in the cake right now, and it's undeniable. It's to the point where if anybody wants to deny it, or they want to deflect it, or they want to dilute it, they're not really trying to have a conversation. They're just trying to argue with you and convince you that water is not wet, that the world is flat and not round, and that's actually a waste of time. And you should handle that accordingly and end the conversation. Unless they got some real stats or some bullshit, which if they do have stats, probably what's going to happen is they really have a survey, which, as far as I'm fucking concerned, doesn't count. Women love using surveys because surveys is allows them to get around statistical trending data over time. You notice women will never bring up data that can stand the test of time over time, or trends, because, well, that shit usually doesn't hold up to the narrative they want. But that's basically what the video was about. And then it came into, him talking about, the video wasn't about him saying dudes sitting approach, but he was basically saying a lot of the obstacles and a lot of the pitfalls of dudes approaching. And really, it's a type of video that if somebody wanted, if like a dating coach, or a lot of the dudes that really don't address these questions, but they like to have, these conversations about what dudes are doing, your Lucario fans, your ARCs, or whatever. This is a great video to be like, this is what most dudes think. So as far as direct approaching, this is what most dudes think. This is a good amalgamation, properly articulated at what the issues that are in dude's head, even from a marketing and sales perspective. And you need to, whatever bullshit or whatever you're trying to pitch or hawk, and if it is legit, then it's legit. You need to be able to address what's in that video, because that is what everybody's thinking when you say that, or a lot of people are thinking when you say that. Those are the objections, and they're good ones. So now what I want to do is just talk about some of those objections. So one of the things that he was talking about was the idea of women date the same people. And he said melanated women but we know we talk about urban women or black women. We're gonna call it that because even a lot of suburban women, they have this thing where they like to lean towards a lot of the thottiness bullshit. Take Angela Simmons for example. Actually, he did another video talking about Angela Simmons and Romeo, and that's actually a perfect example of what was talked about. And because of that, he said you get prejudged. Melanated women or black women will prejudge you. And this is true for like Hispanic women too that are very urban minded. They prejudge you. Women always prejudge. But the problem is when you're dealing with a group of women that they have a certain type, this is really the key here. You don't know what type it is until you really until you know that person. So I'm gonna address that in a little bit. But just know that everybody knows that matters. It's a type. And if you don't fit these types, feminism, and this is what he said too, feminism has taught women to basically be very closed-minded when it comes to who they need to deal with. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to do this video is because when you have guys like Jason Black, you have other guys that will talk. They'll say certain things and they will try to make it like it's absolute true, as if a woman is a control group. The way they like to talk about manhood is if you are this, if you're doing what you need to be doing as a man, then you're like a fucking black hole where a woman just has no choice but to submit to you being a man, and there's just nothing they can do. Their brain is just shut the fuck off and all of that. And that's not as true as they try to make it sound. The reality of the situation is even a lot of dudes that get a lot of women, they have a type. A lot of dudes that are quote unquote select, they're select with a particular type, and they just so happen they found the niche and found their type. It's kind of like sales. There's a lot of people that are not great salesmen. Like there's not that they're really good salesmen, they're just really good at networking with people. They happen to be in the city. I used to sell Cutco back in the day, and I struggled to do it at first before I got good at it. And the difference between me and a lot of the white boys had people, they lived in certain areas and neighborhoods that either haven't been dealt with yet, or they had a lot of people that had a lot of undisposable income. Versus I'm living in a lower cost of living mixed neighborhood, and these motherfuckers are not trying to buy this shit for the price they were selling it. So I had to run into many options. So I had to actually become a better salesman. Versus they had built-in advantages that would, if they ran into the shit I ran into, they wouldn't know what the fuck to do with it. And that's what it is a lot of times in the dating market. You have dudes, they have certain niches or they have certain advantages. And this is not me complaining. I'm just saying what the fuck it is. And they call game pre-qualification. Pre-qualification is actually something that really, I see a lot of dudes don't talk about. Especially dudes that really advocate for like dealing with women. They do not like to address pre-qualification. Because the problem is they don't know how to put themselves in position for pre-qualification, or they know that kind of neutralizes a lot of their absolute arguments. So they're going to have to address a question as is rather than just being dismissive of it, saying, well, you need to do better game. Well, it doesn't matter because it's pre-qualified. And this is what I always like to come back to. The reason why approaching is very important is because you need to find the type of women that you are pre-qualified for. Now, obviously, it comes down to you need to improve yourself. This is nothing I ever say gets around self-improvement. But at the same time, you have to look at the type of women you're dealing with. And yes, women of certain races generally are programmed a certain type of way. We know ADOS, African American women, are programmed a certain type of way because they're brought up in this culture. I don't understand why the fuck everybody wants to play the some but not all game, or they want to act like they don't know this to be true. It is true. Let's cut the bullshit. Let's stop playing. Now, you may be in varying degrees of the programming or levels deep in it. So you may not be that programmed, but you're still kind of around the edges. You just may be in a situation where you could check the fuckery, or you have an awareness of the fuckery to control it a little bit. But we know what this is because the outcomes that black women have are predicated on these facts. if they wouldn't have these outcomes if what I'm saying is not true. It's not about what people, fuck what the men are saying, fuck what I'm saying, just look at the outcome. Look at the law of averages outcome, and you look at the complaints, and that'll tell you what the outcomes are, and that tells you everything you need to know. Because then you ask them, well, why is the outcome? And then their thing is to want to blame. Deflect. It's never their fault. It's never a decision they're making. They're victim. They're perfect. That's basically what they always want to come down to. And that's just a child that just hasn't accepted responsibility for decisions they've made. And it becomes so apparent, obvious. But the point is, you want to approach, because you need to find. Yes, it's gonna be a little bit painful, but you have to find out what that niche is. You need to get feedback as to how women respond to you. That if you don't approach and you just sit there, and when I say approaching is a couple of things. We're not talking about just randomly approaching, This is why I like Glenn and Cameron a lot, because Glenn and Cameron talks about it from a marketing perspective. And when you're marketing, you don't just randomly spam everybody. That's not what you do. There's a certain target market that you go for based on certain data. Now, sometimes you just have to collect data based on being out there and seeing people's feedback, but there is data that you can get based on certain things that you know to be true, or learn to be true. It's enough stuff out there to see that. That's one value of when people say, what's the value of a dating coach? Well, there's a lot of things out there that you can see that other people have gone through, that you can kind of understand, okay, I fit into that kind of moniker. If you fit in shout out to BGS to them when they were talking about a lot of your tech guys. And he was talking about, he was breaking down the kind of archetype they fit into and how this works here, works. And this is why that Insecure series he did is so valuable, which is not there because of fucking Kenneth, but whatever. The point is, if you have a solid understanding of who you are and who you want, who you are, then you have a solid understanding who gravitates to you. Now, here's the problem. Most dudes are looking things at surface level. Does she have big titties or a fat ass? Like, shout out to Sigma. When I did that video, we were talking about body types. Dudes were completely focused on Archer and all of them on what they like. They couldn't step out of what the fuck they like for what I was trying to talk about, which was really about how certain actions lead to certain body types, and how you can kind of mold your body into what you want it to be within a certain range. I'm not talking about you can go from one thing to another, but you can work your way into it. These white women are doing that with these squatting and shit. So you look at that, and people can't get out of what they like, and it's the personality, how a woman acts, all that shit kind of comes after the I like a fat ass, or I like big titties, or I like this and I like that. When in actuality, yes, you got to have both of them, but at the same time, you have to understand that the software, your people are too focused on the hardware. And the software is important too, because if you're walking up to random people say, okay, I'm walking up to women that just got a fat ass because I like fat asses, or waist, or they look good, and that's the only thing I'm looking at, and you're not looking at any other proximity or where she's at, what situation you're looking at, then yeah, you're gonna run into a lot of shit a lot of the time. Man, what the fuck is that? You're going to run into shit a lot of the time, because, and it doesn't matter what you do, you're still, the numbers, like sales, the numbers are always not going to be in the favor you want, but you're going to run into shit a lot of the time because you're not even filtering for other aspects. And I'm not saying that those dudes do that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just giving you an example. You're filtering for fat ass. She makes my dick hard. Let me talk. And this is why a lot of you motherfuckers are always talking to hood rats. Because this is because black men like what they like as far as certain body types. And it is what it is. But the reality is, personality-wise, and you don't know the personality until you talk to them, but the reality is, certain motherfuckers are going to operate certain types of ways, generally, in certain type of environments. And nobody really wants to address that shit. Also, look at where you're talking to them at. If you're talking to a female at the club is a very distinct environment. I never talk to a bitch in a club. Now, that's not to say that there's not advantages to talking to women in a club. I said this on my last video. I said, if you're a dude taking a bitch out on a date, if you go to a club and you have a certain type of personality where you can work a club, you can work a massive amount of women quickly. You really can. So I'm not shitting on clubs. Clubs have certain advantages. I see why certain dudes that know how to work them. I can see that. And real talk, it would behoove you to buy, because the biggest issue I had with clubs was dancing. And I remember Player Supreme. I pretty much learned to dance from Player Supreme's thing. Rest in peace. That was a product. That was one of the first products I ever bought online, and that was like in 2000 and like 3. I was still in high school. This was probably one of the earliest programs online, and I would tell somebody else, if you come up, and I may do it, if you come up with a dance, like a true how to learn how to dance in the club thing, I'm telling you that shit will make money. And I'm talking about hearing the beat, because not talking about dance moves, but just knowing how to hear the beat and shit, that shit will blow up. But at the end of the day, you have to approach to get feedback to find out who fucks with you. But what you cannot do is, if you're gonna approach, you cannot have this mentality, well, I'm gonna only approach like urban women or melanated women or black women because I feel a certain type of way as far as race and shit like that. Now, your environment is your environment. If you live in an area where it's nothing about black people, then you deal with what you're given. But one of the things I would tell people as a caveat when it comes to approaching is you need to approach everybody. Do not allow race to be a barrier. Do not, look, I'm preaching to the choir here, but do not allow certain cultural shit like ADOS 9. You need to, quite frankly, you should seek out non-ADOS women, because you need to get data on the feedback that you're giving. Because you could be dealing with black women and dealing with a certain type of women, and then deal with black women that's a different type and then get a completely different result. Because it had nothing, like take Lawrence, for example. Lawrence got a chick that was ungrateful. Molly might have been a better look for Lawrence. Certain women, yeah, they're going to prejudge you and pre-qualify you. But that doesn't mean anything about you necessarily. And that's one of the things that I always get annoyed when people say. People will always say, if a woman disses you, a woman will, look, man, these women, like, that's not true because of how these women treat a lot of white men. The same black female that will diss you will be a same black female that will fuck with a white dude, or not. She may not even fuck with him, but she will give him that male respect. And that dude may be shorter than you, weaker than you, make less money than you, maybe fatter than you, but because he's white. And let's cut the bullshit. Now, black women will say, well, don't y'all do that too? No. Not in the ways they're trying to say it. No, they don't. They love to believe that shit. As if black men are just marrying these females and not running roughshod or running through white women. They love to believe this little fantastical narrative that they craft for themselves. That black men, that black men can't stay away from the white woman, because they believe a lot of that racial bullshit. Because their insecurity, it's their insecure recipe. But at the end of the day, when Jada Black went in this video, Jada Black pretty much said he really was making a case for why you shouldn't approach black women. And he pretty much started by saying, melanated women are said, why don't men approach them? Which is code for why don't the men they want to fuck approach them? Because when you ask that question, you have to take the good with the bad. But they don't want to do that no more, because they're taught that they are all worthy of a 20% nigga, even if they're fat as fuck. Even if they got kids. Even if they got this, that. They are worthy. They're never unworthy. And that's one thing I would tell you to ask a woman. At what point is a woman unworthy of a man? At what point is a woman unworthy of, let's say, a 20% dude? Ask a woman that. And what you're going to find is that it's hard for their brain to quantify that, because in their minds, there's no such thing as not being unworthy of it. Now, some women will give the right answer, because they think themselves better than other women too. So you may get that. But a lot of women, especially women that are kind of that are unworthy of a 20% dude, they will never want to say that because they know whatever they say, they might fall into that category. So their brain you'll see the conflict in them. You'll see it. Also, remember, that's a question they probably never been posed. So, and then they're going to get mad, even though it's an open-ended question, which means you're not trapping them. You're just asking them an open-ended question. That's why I like open-ended questions, because they can't play, oh, well, you trapped me. No, I didn't. You can answer it any way you want to. It tells me a lot about you. Well, yeah, Archer, it is called math, but math is the definition of a logical language. So women don't like to speak that. That's why women typically are not good at math, because math is logical. And we're talking about 20% guy. You got a lot of dudes, women that are chasing 10% dudes. Because remember, if you're a woman and you say, I only want dudes that are 6 feet, that's 14% of men. Of black men or men. And if you say you want dudes that are only 6'2" and 6'3" and above, well, then you're down to 3%. Instantly. So just by that metric, we're not even talking about the fact that black men that make no matter what height or whatever, they make over like 120,000. That's 3% that's like 3% of the black male population. Even if you're willing to double up and triple up with you think about it, even if every last one of them men are willing to triple up, you take 3%, you're still under 10%. And then if you say, well, how many are 6'3" or 6 foot and make that kind of money? It doesn't matter if you triple up. This is why you got women that will be inside. This is why there's no definition this is why in the black community, being a home wrecker is not really looked at as a bad thing amongst the sisterhood. Because they all deep down, if they want the type of dude they want and all the metrics they wanted, have to take it for another bitch. They're gonna have to rent it. And by the way, this dude, you don't really gotta do shit when it comes to these women. If it wasn't for the law, these women would have no leverage over anybody and anything. They would be at the mercy of a man. Because if they really fucked up, a man would just say, fuck these kids. Because that's your kids. You can look at Future and see that. Look at how these women still want to have Future's baby. And still has his baby. And really, the only ones he really cool with is the first 3 baby moms. Because they're the only ones that act right. Or he has a real attachment to. And then Sierra is with Russell. And everybody after that kind of is in a trick bag. Yet they still do it. Knowing what they're getting. We're not talking about fucking. We're talking about having their baby. Because they hope that the law, for some reason, is going to make them make Future do what the fuck he should be doing. Which at the end of the day, how can the law make one man be accountable to 8 different women? The law can't. The law actually is not built to do that. The law is not built to deal with a man that deals with that many kids. Because at the end of the day, you have to harm earlier women in order to deal. This is why I keep talking about that polygamy shit. The law is not built to deal with polygamy. It's not. This is why I would create a law, vote for a law that says outside of the 3rd baby mama, and I think that's more than reasonable, outside of the 3rd baby mama, the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, y'all don't get shit. Y'all just got sperm. Because you knowingly walked into that situation. You knew what you were dealing with, and you knowingly did. So if it can be proven that you knew he had kids with women, you don't get nothing. Doesn't matter who you put. And then you combine that with the paternity test. You know how much shit that would shut down. But anyway, going back to the approaching shit, you have to approach to find out who fucks with you. Now, a lot of what he was talking about was really how black women respond to being approached. Because a lot of non-black, non-urban women don't necessarily respond that way. And this is a big reason why dudes like going overseas. And it doesn't matter. And here's what's funny about it. It doesn't matter if you're in England. It doesn't matter if you go to high cost of living places. Because the argument that always is made is the same basic bitch argument of, oh, well, you know, they're poor and they want to come to the United States and they're this, basically shaming the men. I'm like, okay, I've been to high cost of living areas. It's the same shit. Like, because if you sit there and you get nothing but white women in areas where they don't necessarily want to come to the United States, now all of a sudden you a coon. All of a sudden you don't want to date black women. So it's kind of damn if you do, damn if you don't. And that's how you know there's no logic behind what they're saying. You're absolutely right, Archer. with the baby. Yeah, shout out Elaine. Yeah, like, you know, you got that. And it is delusion. Really, what they're really saying is they want to go lesbo. That's really what they're saying. And the thing about it is, what's the point of this video? The point really of this video is, this is really probably a SYSBM approved video. Because to me, and I said this before, and some people got pissed off or annoyed. Let me tell you something. I can approach something any way I want to approach it. I really don't give a fuck about what your opinions are, because my shit is my shit, and I know I'm approaching something from logic. So if anybody wants to address me, like as far as, you know, get on a hangout and ask me some questions, then we can go ahead and we can have at it. But what I find is the question where I'm willing to go, a lot of people are not willing to go because those are questions they don't really have answers for, or they sound fucking stupid. I go back to the, well, we should work with white men and we should just let race not be an issue, which is code for you hang around a lot of white men and you listen and believe in the bullshit that they saying. Because remember, when your black ass ain't there, them white men are talking about shit from a racial lens. It's just not spoken because it's already understood. And a lot of motherfuckers don't want to come to terms with that because they want to leave the black community, but they really don't want to really reconcile the fact that they are, you're on your own. They may not make you feel like that all the time, but you're on your own. And when you stop being useful to another group, they will throw your ass away. Or unless you're useful to an individual. Like how Dre is to Jimmy Iovine, where you may get individual protections, but most people are not going to wind up like that to do that. And that just is what it is. I'm not saying to not do it. I'm just saying you have to be smart about how you approach that. But anyway, my point is, SYSBM has always been make the best choice. It doesn't necessarily mean say fuck black women. It just means make the best choice and don't allow race to basically interfere with that choosing process when it comes to women. Do not allow this guilt, again I said it, that guilt and that need for validation from black women to control you creating the best outcome for yourself. And that's why people hate it. That's why black people hate it so much. Because when you remove that, they have nothing else really to say. And I'll leave it at that. But that's what but you can apply that same mindset to approach it. Now, Jada Black, I believe, is out of South Carolina, which is heavily black. So he's talking to that from, I guess, a perspective of being there. I've always been in areas that are more mixed. So me dealing with non-black and quite frankly non-ADOS people have never been that hard to find. Hell, most of y'all around if y'all around college universities, there's a big pool right there. Oh, well, I don't deal with kids that are 22, 23. Okay, you got graduate students. What up, Marcus? But yeah, and the stupid, and you gotta remember, the stupid shit that females say on social media, let's say it this way, most bitches are dumb. I'm just gonna say it just like that, and that's regardless of race. I don't put any stock over what these dumb hoes say. That's half of that is their pussy talking. Oh, I need to do with this. Like, I've already broken that down. I said, at the end of the day, our women value genetic value over everything. So they don't give it. They have been taught that they can make their own money The only thing and to a certain extent, you got a lot of women now starting to go bisexual. Talk about 25%. You want to do a survey talking about that they're bisexual, which is really just telling you how fucking fractured their mind is. And it's a lot higher than that, I can tell you right now. That's how many would just say it. And that shit, because this idea, like, black female lesbian couples go through more bullshit than men and women. Because now you're dealing with two groups that are illogical and two groups that are operating on emotion. This is why those relationships can be so violent so quickly. And then, not to mention that with the bisexual chicks, you got chicks that are cheating on women with dick. So they're adding a whole nother dynamic. Don't even get me started on diseases and shit, but they're adding a whole nother dynamic lens to the shit. And they want to say, don't judge me. Don't judge me. My house is burning on fire, but don't judge me. But then they want to bail out when they want to bail out. So anyway, that's my video really on that. I just wanted to address that. Like, when it comes to approaching, look, I get what he's saying, and I damn sure get what he's saying, but you have to figure, because if you don't approach it, what are you going to do? You cannot depend on women approaching you, because that's, if I'm talking to somebody that's like, that's how you wind up being an incel and shit. No, you need to take the hits. You need to go ahead and approach. And if you find that black women don't fuck with you, then they don't fuck with you. Then you need to deal with other races of women. Or you need to deal with other groups. You fuck with who fucks with you. But you have to figure out who fucks with you. And that's what nobody really wants to say. You have to figure out who fucks with you. And in order to do that, you have to be social. Because that's really what it is. It's really about being social. And this is coming from somebody that, being social, as much as I talk, being social is not something that just averagely came to me. I'm more of an introvert in logic. And I can tell you right now, social skills are very important. Now, granted, you may have some motherfuckers, one of the things he said is with the pre-qualification, and then black men automatically start behind the wheel because black women have a built-in resentment towards black men. That is true. And I'm tired of black men denying that. I'm tired of motherfuckers pretending like that shit doesn't exist. Because you've seen it, because even if a woman talks to you, the way she gives that reverence for that white man that supposedly raped her back in the day, every time a black man dealing with a white woman, that's what wants to come up. But you put a white man in front of them, they smile. Right? Or they have this, I didn't feel beautiful, the bitch from Queen and Slim. I didn't feel beautiful until white men are first people made me feel beautiful, which is code for I can't feel pretty unless a white man says it. I'm just calling a spade a spade. Let's stop, cut the shit. So at the end of the day, you have to understand, you got, and in real talk, these women don't get approached because they don't know how to fucking act. So you goddamn right. The dudes that they like don't need to approach because they're just going to give obvious choosing signals and come up to them and say, free pussy, fuck me for free. And then the other dudes, so yeah, you're right. They don't get approached. And that's something they got to deal with. Like, real talk, this is why when you looked at those pictures, the videos that I showed on my last video with Sigma and Archer was on there with the body type, they say, like, first thing that Sigma was like, well, you like average looking. It ain't average looking. I just don't need it. I'm not wooed by an exotic bitch. I've seen exotic women. And yes, they are very attractive. But I'm not, well, they gotta be exotic. I don't give a fuck. That light-skinned exotic shit, that shit doesn't move me because I fuck them bitches. And I know Sigma has too. But what I'm saying is, when I look at a woman, looks obviously I'm seeing first. But what I'm also seeing is is that bitch approachable too? Did she conduct herself like a lady based on how I'm seeing her body language wise? I don't give a damn about being rejected. But at the same time, I'm not approaching no bitch that don't act like if you ask them a question or you try to strike up a conversation, because I can strike up a conversation, just strike up a conversation. I could give a woman a compliment. I complimented a chick on her tattoo the other day at work because it was a woman I had to train. She had this tattoo on her arm, and y'all know I've said I don't like tattoos like that, but she had a tattoo on her arm right here, and I complimented it. I haven't said nothing to her in the last couple of weeks. It was a couple of weeks ago. And I just said something. I said, hey, because if she's younger and I could tell she's like, oh, thanks. And she didn't say it like I was gonna say anything else. She just said, oh, thanks, and then left it at that. I don't need to make a compliment or do something because there's an agenda behind it. And y'all should get used to doing that too. And she's not an ugly chick. She's a little bit loud for my taste. And I don't have a problem with loud chicks, but she's a little bit extra loud, extra young. But she's cute. But it can be just a compliment. It can be something like deja vu that passes. It doesn't have to be this, oh, I'm talking to somebody and that means something. I used to be that way when it comes to my home business. I used to be, oh, well, if I'm talking to somebody, it doesn't work out, what does that mean? I used to be the type of dude, I didn't like to argue. Because if you argue with a motherfucker, I didn't have a concept of what it is to make up from an argument. You know, so it's not that big of a deal. It's just not. And a lot of people, they build this stuff in their head. And if a bitch says some stupid shit, then let her. I've had women, Billy women, I ask them what time it is. And then they have an attitude about that. And I wouldn't even try to talk to the bitch like that. I just need to know what the fuck time it was. It was years ago. Before, everybody had phones and shit. I just don't take what people say as seriously as like that. And I'm not going to act like I can't be moved or people can't piss me off. Yeah, they can. But at the same time, get used to talking to people with nothing behind it. So that way, when you are talking to somebody and you see how it goes, it's fine. You need to think about it like qualifying people. If a woman is a bitch, even if she's a bitch to you, then she's qualified. She's disqualified herself. That's fine. That's no commentary on your manhood. And I'm going to tell you why I keep saying that. Because the niggas that will talk about improvement, okay, if you're getting a whole bunch of bitches, so what, does that mean you don't need to improve? And that's actually what fucks black men up too. You got a lot of black men that sit here and they think, oh, well, these hoes are choosing, so I don't need to do shit. So what happens? What happens? These niggas stay stagnant, they stay static. And this is why all these other groups can leapfrog past them, because these dudes don't think it's a problem because they're satiated with pussy. Man, and you've seen it get so bad. You've seen niggas that will stay static even if they're fucking obese ogre bitches. Yeah, man, I'm just comfortable. I need a place to stay. He mentioned that too. I need a place to stay. And then these women get angry because they got fresh wounds, because as soon as a dude finds somebody they want, they were just fucking a bitch for a place to stay. Because these women trick like a motherfucker too. Because they're desperate, because they've been taught. Here's the thing. I find it an advantage that if you can be happy with like an upgradable 7 or what I would call an upgradable 6, to me that's an advantage. Because if you're one of these niggas that you walking around talking about I need a dime, a 9, or a dime, then nigga, you gonna be disappointed. Because even if you can get them, those chicks belong to everybody. And the reality is you will never hold that bitch unless you a Jay-Z type nigga. And most of you niggas aren't. Even the dude can trick on a bitch and take a bitch. It don't matter if the dick is good. She can trick and still cheat on you. She may still care for that dude, but still can happen. And this is what these women do all the time. They want a 9 or a 10 nigga because social media has warped their ass. Social media is blowing their ego up, and those dudes they're seeing also. See, we always talk about the dudes we see. We don't talk about those channels with them dudes, chocolate motherfuckers, those fit channels there. You don't see that, and they're seeing all that. They're talking about, I want them, and they're comparing you against that shit. Dudes are not comparing women on that shit to the extent that women are trying to do that. So it's like, oh, I don't need him, da da da, and then they are alone, and now it's everybody's fault but theirs as to why they're alone. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, as to why they're alone. It's everybody's fault they're alone, but theirs. Even though this is why when they always talk about these surviving stories, or these women always come out like with their past and that they were a victim, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Because you're lying. You're telling like all your side of the truth, and you're not saying anything else. I know it, you know it, just shut the fuck up. Own your shit. Just own it. Stop. 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 Stop trying to make it seem like you're a victim. Stop making it seem like you did the right thing. Stop making it like you didn't understand the decisions. You were too young or too dumb or you believed in somebody. Shut the fuck up. None of that's true. None of that's true. You just want somebody to believe it because you want to have a reset. You want to have a redo. And at the end of the day, no. No. Stop it. I didn't understand what I was doing. And just shut the fuck up. You knew exactly what you were doing. If somebody would have told you, if somebody would have played the Scrooge card and said this might happen, you would have told them to shut the fuck up and mind their business. You know how women get when you try to tell them about something and they're like, mind your business. This ain't none of your business, stuff like that. Remember, that same bitch is the same chick that's gonna later on be crying to some nigga because they want to get bailed out because they realize it's over. And I'm gonna tell you something. Dudes want to talk about, I've heard this new shit where people want to talk about the economic wall. The difference between the economic wall, here's the difference between the fucking economic wall and the goddamn beauty wall. The difference between the economic wall and the beauty wall, for people to act like they don't want to know since we're going to bring new bullshit to the table, is the economic wall. You can be homeless and still be and still learn and still get yourself out of that economic hole. Go ahead and ask Glenn and Cameron about that. You can be a late bloomer economically. A lot of your richest people in the world made money later. Go to ask Glenn and Cameron about being homeless and then now he's a millionaire. He said it himself. He said being married to a black woman, I'm not saying he didn't say that, but I'm saying that, for 15 years basically fucked him up by 15 years. But he would have had it 15 years early if it wasn't been for that shit. But at the end of the day, so men can come out of the economic wall. Men can come out of the economic wall. No matter how fucking deep you get into it. Unless you got a whole bunch of bastard kids. And even then, it's hard, but even then it can be done. Women, you can't get your looks back. I thought that was obvious. But I guess since it needs to be made obvious, men can come out of the economic wall. It's not even an economic wall. It's like an economic timeout. There is no wall. It's timeout. That's what capitalism is. You can it has nothing to do with age. Women can't get their looks back. That's time. And that's a precious commodity. That's the difference. That should be painful obvious. This is what I'm talking about with that let's make like the same, it's the same here, it's the same there. No, it's not. Shut up. Oh, dudes hitting the economic wall just like men. Women are hitting the... No, they're not. Shut up. You don't need plastic surgery to come out of the economic wall. Now, does this mean that every dude is going to do it? No. So there is some kind of bullshit truth to that. But you can come out of it. You can come out of that shit. You can get that money back. You can't get your looks back. I'm sorry. Once you drop down to a certain level, you know, once you hit the real wall, because when you talk about you being fat and then you just losing weight, we're talking about like you can never achieve in your 30s what you could do in your 20s. Period. And that's true for dudes too, to a certain extent. But the difference between dudes is, again, we have economics on our side, number one, and number two, you know, dudes can get there. Like it's a different dynamic. Men can reach down and younger. It's a different dynamic. And everybody knows this. We just like to pretend like we don't. And I get so fucking tired of that shit. Anyway, I just wanted to put that shit out there. Yeah, I see what you said, Archer, as far as the growing requirements. Yeah, these bitches are just talking. That's another thing. And Glendon said this, and he's absolutely right. He said this a long time ago. These women don't have the kind of options you think they do. Don't be believing these women got options. Any bitch can find illicit dicks that'll fuck free pussy. It's like me being a restaurant, but I'm a shitty restaurant, but I'm gonna say free food. Okay, yeah, a whole bunch of homeless niggas people gonna come in there. It's free food. Even a fat bitch can get especially with black men, even a fat bitch can get it's free pussy. The question is how much you willing to commit to get it. So the problem is you have women that are basically saying, well, these men want to sleep with me, so therefore they like me. No, bitch, you're free. It's free pussy. It's free pussy. Even a rich dude's going to pick up a $100 bill if they just see it lying around. Hell, even a rich dude will pick up $1 if it's just right there on the ground. But they actually believe, this is single motherhood logic too. They actually believe that when I have a man's baby, I'm marrying him because I'm forcing him into a relationship. This is how these women think when they choose who the kid they want to have. Is that everybody? No, that's 80% though. It's most, but not all. We'll say that. That's going to be my new catchphrase. And then, like I said before, and I need to do a panel just on this. I think this would be something that's great to get Fantastic on and to get Ramil on, as far as I think this will be a rumble. Is marriage, because I know, you know, if you get Moses in them, Moses be caping for like black love and marriage. And I get it, but you know, whatever. Is marriage retirement? Do women view marriage as a retirement package? Sierra, you know, I never really, you know, I could, but it wasn't until I said that statement that I realized the issue I really had with Sierra and fucking Russell Wilson. She basically retired with Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson's dumbass financed that shit. Kim K retired with Kanye West. Now that was a mutual benefit, I think. So that's a little bit different. Mariah Carey retired with Nick Cannon. Again, that's more of a mutual benefit. So that's different. But yeah, it's thought retirement. They're literally settling down. The problem is, dude, there's not enough dudes that's gonna play that game with you. Because a lot of the times these women are getting so bold that they will quote unquote settle down and then try to tell you they don't want no more kids. So they're literally trying to cuck you. They're trying to reverse cuck you. And it's so bold with it that you can't help but address it. Because they don't even allow you to be in the damn delusion. They want you to know you're getting cucked and be cool with it. Because that's what they see these white bitches doing. Which is, quite frankly, insane. It doesn't matter. I'm a square. I'm like 4-part square. I'm like 5-part square. 6-part square, 4 parts. I'd say 7-part square, 3 parts street. I'm square. There's nothing wrong with being square. All of my let's be clear here, Big Pope. And I'm glad you said that because I want to put this out here. And this is one of the biggest issues I've ever had with Tariq Nasheed. Ain't nothing wrong with being square. Just because, like one thing about street dudes is street dudes try to operate like black women, where they try to project their insecurities and try to use reverse psychology on them. And let's be clear here, I've gone through some street shit, you know, as far as how I was raised and shit like that. So I'm not perfect two-parent household. No, I'm not like that. But at the same time, like, being square is the fucking ideal. I know black people have been taught that's not true, so you all can be happier in your condition. But being square is the ideal. The ideal is not to struggle. Well, I'm a real one. You're a real one because that's the only thing you can be. Because that's all you have, is to be a real one. I'm not talking you, Big Paul. I'm talking in general. That's all you have, is to be a quote-unquote real one. You're a broke-ass nigga, but you're a real one. You're fucking fat bitches, but you're a real one. You're wearing hand-me-downs, but it's okay. You a fucking real one. That's nothing but people in their impoverished state trying to justify their own situation. Remember, being a real one got Nipsey Hussle killed. Nipsey Hussle got killed by a real one. Remember that. The only thing, it was funny, that bitch, Laura London, she is a bitch, was talking, I don't think she gave the official eulogy, but she was talking on Nipsey Hussle. And she actually thought the lamest thing about him was the fact that he listened to motivational tapes. That told me everything I needed to know about Laura London. Laura London's light-skinned, damn near white. That said everything I need to know about that bitch. And I said, you know what, nigga, you fucked up. You wanted to get your little hood princess going on, and you should have just fucked that bitch, nutted in her mouth, and just kept it moving. And you should have got an Ethiopian chick, because that bitch didn't have the type of decorum that's needed to be. And your kids are going to grow up in a fucked up situation, because she going to find another nigga that's like that. Because niggas be ogling over Laura London like she's all that. Laura London is not all that to me. She's really not. She's cute, but she's not. Niggas be really getting a light skin thirst on with her ass. Oh my God, it's Laura London. She is so beautiful. Bitch, she's an extra average light skinned bitch. Like, seriously. Like, seriously. It's like, maybe it's because I'm a light-skinned dude, but these bitches don't be, y'all niggas, like, some of these niggas just, oh my God, Laura London, like, this bitch ain't all that. Her hair ain't even done half the goddamn time. Like, I can't stand when motherfuckers try to make her black, and they try to put her in this angelic queen, like I've seen it on some of the Nollywood or some of the, the Black Bombshell Instagram pages. I'm like, stop trying to project that bitch like she's an ideal or some shit. And I'm not saying this because I can fuck about black women feelings. I'm saying this because it makes black men look goofy. Trust me, white men will ghetto gag her ass too. She is nothing special. Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, well, squares. No, no. I disagree with that. And there was one of my funniest, one of the funniest episodes or most significant episodes of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is when I forget who it was. I think it was the girl from Family Matters. She tried to tell Carlton that Carlton knew he was a virgin, but she tried to say Carlton had a kid, and he's like, I ain't even fucked before, so I know I ain't fucked you. And like it came out with that in the episode. Like, this idea what people have towards squares, y'all know squares based on what the media tells y'all they are. Squares are not stupid. Like again, it made him successful. Him being a square didn't make him susceptible to shit. That Christianity made him susceptible to that bullshit. The fact that he had Sierra on his fucking wall when he was in NC State. You're not gonna tell me nothing different. Because Sierra, I know there's a lot of chicks that look like Sierra. You can go overseas and get it. Sierra is not like rare. She's not. Yeah, she's famous. She can dance a little bit, but the bitch is not rare. I was just watching. I had a video suggested, and I was watching Russell Wilson's Columbine. I mean, it doesn't like a dude like Russell Wilson is rare, even without like the football acumen. When you look at what these females be looking at, hair, height, all of that shit's rare. Off gate. On top of that, he's a Super Bowl quarterback. Yet people try to, so he's a square, he's this, he's that, as if that just completely nullifies her. He could have chose a hell of a lot better. Now he got what he wanted. So far, she's compliant, and it'll get to the point where Ciara, once she gets to her 40s and shit, she's not gonna be able to get the same shit. She's not gonna be able to get the same commitment. So if he can make it another 6 years, because remember, Ciara's older than him by 4 years. People forget that. Ciara's older than him by 4 years. And that was, I will give Russell that. That wasn't dumb. Because if she gets in her 40s and wants to be Thadalina, she's not going to be able to do the same shit. She's not going to be able to get away with all the same shit. The longer he's in that relationship, the better it'll turn out. Because she's not Kim K. Yeah, she'll get ran through by niggas like Dre, and so if that, but she's not gonna ever be able to really get cuffed by another dude. And she's like, give it 3 more years, she's never gonna get cuffed by another dude that can make the same amount of money as Russell. Ever. It's over. So she'll be blocked in that sense. Because same thing with Megan. What did Megan Good try to do? She ran to the church, and look at what she's doing. Okay, yeah, that is true. That is true. But she ran to the church. If they want to suck her, they go to the church. That's all square dudes don't fuck with the church. Yeah, this is another reason why y'all need to go overseas, because y'all need to see this shit is not done the same everywhere. Y'all be having, like, the problem is you all, it's like 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension. You all can only see what's in your dimension because that's all you know. So part of going overseas has really not a lot to do with who you fucking. It really just has to do to really you sitting and seeing things that can be done differently. That's the main reason you should go. Dudes be told, you just going overseas to get a bitch and da-da-da-da. That's what they say because that's what the fuck they're on. When I went overseas because of my job. The bitches was just something that was there. I mean, I'm sorry. Dudes, you want to shut shit. And it's funny with black people how we like to go out of our way to try to shut down conversations. Because we don't even want to have it. Well, it's different types of church dudes. It's different types of church dudes, but yeah, they do think that. That's where they going. But all squares are not the same, just like all street dudes are not the same. All street dudes are not thugs. All street dudes are not Pookies and Ray Rays. But see, we've been taught because we view black men through the eyes of black women, and black women view black men through the eyes of white men. That black men are just this one thing. Even though in reality, black women are more alike. ADO's black women, and quite frankly, black women in general, way more alike than what black men are. Way more alike. So anyway, this is about at an hour, so I'm going to end this. I just wanted to put that out there to get some thoughts out there. Yeah, I did. I saw Star Wars, and I mean, with the shit, I'll talk about it probably next week, because I want to have a conversation with some people about it. Rael, you're absolutely right. And African women are not the best either. But African women are only going to go so far with you because they know they've been G-checked. So yeah. And I get all of the ADOS, non-ADOS issues, but at the end of the day, man, you got to do what you got to do. It is normal. And they don't even do the type of shit that black women do. It's normal. And hitting women is normal most places of the world. The United States and the Western world, but the United States in general has really, no, trust me. Women, this is why a lot of women can't go overseas. And don't act like these white men be smacking you. Don't act like black. Look, trust me. Holly Berry tried to tell on her dude. These white men be smacking the shit out of these sisters. These sisters be keeping shit under wraps because they don't want to make it look like they have no options. It was. I'll say this. It was better than The Last Jedi. But okay, I'll say this, and this will be my non-spoiler review. You got to understand, Disney operates on another standard. You see what they can do with Marvel. There's a certain standard when it comes to these movies now. The problem with the movie is a couple of things. Number one, it's so painfully obvious they don't have a plan for shit. One of the things that I liked about Darth Sidious, and y'all heard him in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler, is even when things didn't go right with Darth Sidious, I'm not talking about this movie, I'm talking about the character. It almost seemed like things were a part of the plan because that's how easy he was at calling an audible. Kind of like Peyton Manning. I don't like Peyton Manning, but like that was his thing he was known for, right? So it almost seemed like it was a part of the plan because that's how smooth it was. Now, if you get into some of the lore, you realize he didn't expect Darth Maul to die, and he had the, it's a lot of stuff. But at the end of the day, he didn't expect Darth Vader to get killed burnt like that. But my point is, so what does that have to do with anything? Well, when you look at this movie, and not even with Darth Sidious as a character, but just how they wrote the movie, it was basically put together by a committee with J.J. Abrams. I mean, this really kind of hurt J.J. Abrams' career. I mean, when you take Fast and Furious, Fast 7 for a second when Paul Walker died and how they dealt with that, and compare it to this movie. That was masterful how they dealt, even though Paul Walker just died. But how they did, and it was more wrong with Star Wars. But the point is there some good things in the movie? Yes. Is there I will say the actors did a very great job. I gotta say that, unfortunately with John Boyega's character, they basically Idris Elba'd him. Ray. I mean, they made him do that throughout the whole movies. Just fucking retarded. But to be fair, they tried to put him with the other black chick. So I gotta give him. I'll give JJ credit for that. And I'm gonna be honest. Had they introduced the black girl in The Last Jedi rather than the Asian chick, that would have went a lot better. That would have went a lot better. It just would have worked. Fuck that casino scene in The Last Jedi, and then have them explore that relationship. I'm not gonna tell you why, because they have a connection because of their history, shared history. That would have worked a lot better. Kerry Russell's character, you never get to see, and I actually like Kerry Russell. I actually need to go see that show, The Americans. They got some things right, but certain things they got right, they should have got all in the beginning of in that trilogy they did. Overall, let's say if they would have got everything right, would I really like the trilogy? No, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, because okay, let me say it this way. I'm about to put my phone in park. Let me say it this way. If they needed to do this the way they needed to do it, this is how this trilogy should have went. If Disney was being smart, they should have basically said, okay, the sequel trilogy is going to transition out the last three. We're gonna give people what they want with the last three. Luke, Han, Leia. If Han Solo really wanted to die like that, and it's like that's the only way he would really come back, I would basically tell him, look, motherfucker, you need to come back for 2 movies. And I would have negotiated hard for that. But if he and saved him dying for the third one, the second one, I would have made it so what happened with Han Solo happened in the second one. But if you absolutely could have did that, you should have front loaded all 3 of them in the beginning, or at least two of the three, like Han and Leia, and then had Luke do the rest of the trilogy. Luke and Leia through the rest of the trilogy. But the problem is they could have never saw that Carrie Fisher would have died. Which, real talk, they should have shot a lot of scenes with her. That was sudden, so I'm not gonna hold that against them. But the goal of the trilogy, because on the low, what a lot of people don't know is George Lucas got paid a lot more on this trilogy because Luke and Leia. That's Luke, Leia, and Han. That's why because those characters was in there. That's why they were trying to phase them out as fast as possible. But you would have took the hit on this trilogy and got them out like maybe every 2 years, and then had the anthology series to kind of set people up. Rian Johnson should have never directed Last Jedi. You should have fucking gave Rian Johnson something like The Old Republic. That's what they should have gave him. Because that would have gave him the freedom to do what the fuck he wants to do whatever that change shit he wanted to do. People would have accepted it a lot more, and it would have been fine. And he was good with that shit because of the Lord of the Rings anyway. That's how you should have did that. You should have never let him do that. J.J. Abrams should have did it, and they should have gave somebody that would continue his vision. Because like for instance, the thing, they want to act like Finn can kind of sense the Force a little bit, or they allude to it. And I'm like, you should have gave Finn a fucking lightsaber at the end of fucking the movie. My thing is, but that wasn't built up. But the reason why I'm saying this with the trilogy is the goal should have been to then in the next trilogy, now that all that stuff is built, you can kind of have a better threat. Another thing is the fucking spaceships look cheap as fuck. Like the space battle is like the worst I've ever seen in Star Wars. Like it's retarded. Like it's so whatever. But the point is that trilogy should have been to set up the other trilogy. And then, I don't know. Like either they could do a time gap or whatever, but I don't know. But it was, they had no outline, and it was very painfully obvious they had no outline. They had no outline. They really didn't. I mean, they really didn't. And there's really nothing else that can really be said. You see what Mandalorian isn't all that in a bag of chips, but being juxtaposed against the other trilogy, it looks good. And I'm enjoying it. And that Baby Yoda shit could have made, they could have paid for the entire damn Mandalorian budget, probably for 2 or 3 seasons, just off Baby Yoda sales. And you got to remember, this is the last thing I'm going to say on this topic. I don't give a fuck about white boys and their feelings. I'm just going to say that. But with that being said, the value that Disney bought with Star Wars was really the licensing rights. The movies, but the licensing is what they bought. That's what made Lucas money. And the value of the licensing is really predicated on the value of the franchise itself. And that operates outside the movies and the TV shows. Because a lot of your cartoons, the reason why they still exist is not because they make a lot of money. It's because you can sell toys with them. You can spin it off to other things that you can make money off of. And what happened with them just going social justice warrior, it's not about adding women. It's about how Kathleen Kennedy went about doing it. Basically saying Star Wars, she basically low-key communicated Star Wars is for women now, mainly white women. It's not for anybody else. And everything we do is going to be from a white man, kind of like what Jay-Z did, the Takeover battle rap. That's kind of what she did. And you don't understand that a lot of these quote-unquote nerds that kept Star Wars alive is the main reason it's valued today. Women don't like this shit because they like this shit. They like this shit because it's popular. And the same dudes that are invested in it now were invested in it when it wasn't fun to be invested in this type of shit. And it's not about right or wrong. I'm talking pure business. When you remove those people, you remove the value of the phrase. Just like with football. Women like football because they want to be a part of the in crowd. They want to be in on it. But if men stop watching football, women are not going to give a fuck about football. Women are not going to carry football. You don't believe me? Go fucking look at soccer. Female soccer. Go fucking look at female basketball. Look at anything that's just built straight for women straight up. Even the black church even the church was valued because men are there. And that's something that Kathleen Kennedy, when you look at her history, that she's been behind Spielberg, helping him. She's been a glorified fucking secretary. Sorry, not sorry. Lucas, Spielberg. And for her not to understand that, women are supposed to have more social intuition than men are. They're supposed to be biologically, naturally better at that than men. And for her to lack that in such a complete and total way, for her to be a white woman talking about it's our time now, bitch, please. Everything you have is because of white men. The white woman would have nothing if it wasn't for the white man. The black woman would have nothing if it wasn't for the black man. Black women wouldn't have rights if they weren't used in order to undercut black men. The shit they get in order to undercut black men. Let's call that what it is. But for a white woman to have this, well, it's our time now, and the force is a woman. I would like Bob Iger. But Disney is not supposed to be for women. I mean, the only thing that's like Disney, like, okay, the Disney princesses, sure. But you don't got the Disney princesses operate on no feminist bullshit. Bob Iger should have told her to shut the fuck up with that shit quick. And now nobody even wants to take over the franchise because you basically turned it into a political football, and it's literally like talking about politics. And there's some good characters in The Last Jedi. Some people that they introduced that, quite frankly, I wish they would have introduced in The Last Jedi. That I wish they would introduce and Rise Skywalker. They should introduce in The Last Jedi. And the actors do the best they can, but you all are really low-key making Star Wars as something that could fuck up your career, not help your career. And even with her saying, oh, well, we're going to do like one-off movies, you can't really get invested. The value of Star Wars is not getting invested. It's not a one-off movie. This is why the fucking one-off movies can't make the same money as the trilogy. Because the trilogy builds on itself. So from a business perspective, like, oh my, like, what the fuck? And it's like, you can't, it's not about right. Like, you're making bad business decisions. And the head of Spider-Man is that racist white bitch, I forget her name, the one who wanted to talk shit about Kevin Hart because he wouldn't tweet his following for free because she didn't want to pay. So it's not about, oh, it's a woman, they can't do it because they're, no, I don't believe that. But at the same time, you're not going to be able to skate and say you talking about me because I'm, well, no, you're fucking up. Women you're not even able to sell Star Wars to women, like, and that's everything you've been focused on. So even by that metric, you failed. Women are not fucking with Star Wars any harder than they used to. You're not selling any more toys to women any more than you used to. Fuck the overall sales. Let's just look at that metric. Because if you give something to women and they don't value it, they value them being accepted. But you have to have somebody to accept them into. That's what she doesn't understand. And she basically wrecked the franchise. And that's what she wrecked, was the licensing. And that tells me everything. The fact they didn't have that Baby Yoda. You see memes everywhere with Baby Yoda, free advertising. And they have no fucking Baby Yoda really plush toys out there. 2.5 million sales for $30 a pop. You would have paid for the $80 million for the Mandalorian season. Just like that. And probably you could sell that shit enough to where you probably would have paid for future seasons. And that's the main thing they had. So that would have been pure profit for the Disney subscribership. She fucked it up. And it's this bullshit about, and I don't give a fuck about Disney either, because all this bullshit about they can't get rid of her because of relationships and all that, fuck that. That shit don't stop you when it's time to get rid of somebody else, when they black as somebody else. This is just a white bitch, and you don't want to piss off white females. You don't want to piss off white feminists and make it seem like a bunch of old white men are kicking out the one white bitch in the room. That's the only reason why y'all even give a fuck. So let's stop lying. Let's stop playing. Bob Iger was thinking about running for president maybe in 2024 or some shit like that. He don't want to be the dude that fired the bitch. That's what that is. And I'm going to just say it just like that. That's what it is. And quite frankly, if I was a big time investor in Disney, I'd be like, that's what it is. And y'all need to stop. Y'all need to stop acting like that ain't what it is. Fuck that bitch. Fire that bitch. If you got to replace her with another woman so you don't seem like it is, then fine, do that. But whatever. Oh, God. Shane Vicious. That can't be true. I got to look that up now that you said it. I hope that shit's true. If that's true, then that's all you need. All I need to know. That says everything I need to know about Finn. But you know what, though? The Mary Sue shit isn't the actress's fault, though. That's not Daisy Ridley's fault. And I will say this, they do try to address that a little bit in The Rise of Skywalker. And had they addressed that throughout the trilogy, the way they did it in The Rise of Skywalker, it actually might have made a little bit more sense. But the problem with the Mary Sue thing is fine, but that's not the actress's fault. That's the writer's fault. So that goes back to J.J. Abrams, and that goes back to how they wrote Rey. But they wrote Rey because and see, this is the problem. If the goal, and I would say, if I was in the room, I say, look, if the goal here is to put up women empowerment, then you have to get men to accept that shit. You making her a Mary Sue is not going to accept it. And I would have came back after Rogue One and said, you see how the men responded to Rogue One? So it's not about somebody being a woman. What they respond to is struggle and overcoming, just like with anybody. Rogue One is considered the best, and that was a clusterfuck too. That just happened and they put it together well. They were able to put that together and it worked. But Rogue One was a clusterfuck too in the production office. It just came together a lot better. It came together. They lucked out with Rogue One. But Rogue One could have been a shitty movie too. Because I remember, that's the thing. When I look at movies, I look at the production. I'm looking at the news coming out of that. I look at the lead up to a movie coming out. Because I like movies like that. I don't just look at, like, I'm going to be interested in that Tenet movie. But y'all should check that out. But for real, like, no, I get the Mary Sue shit. I get that, but that's not a fault of the actress. That's the fault who wrote the character and who did it. And Daisy Ridley, to me, Daisy Ridley is stiff as hell, man. She is too stiff. Like, it's like, goddamn, bitch. Like, get some dick. Like, for real. She is stiff as fuck. And she never was not stiff. I'm like, somebody should gave her some ballet classes. Because I don't want to see no fucking male Jedi acting. Like, she's more stiffer than Darth Vader. But here's the thing with Ahsoka. Men responded better to Ahsoka once Ahsoka went through some shit. People did not like Ahsoka at first. I remember when she was first introduced. I didn't care for her one way or the other. But as you saw her go through struggle, and I mean real struggle, not no, you Mary Sue your way out of struggle, but real struggle. And you saw the similarities with Anakin, but differences, how some stuff rubbed off. And then, like, the thing where I remember the premonition that she had with an older version of herself, say, don't fuck with him, he's gonna fuck you up. And it's the Lord, you saw that, and especially when that arc where she ended up leaving the Jedi Order, and she had to do it on her own. And so when you introduce her to Rebels, people had mad respect for that shit. But that's just basic storytelling. What that tells you is men actually will respond to a woman that goes through the same arcs as a man. That's what that tells you. So what that tells you is their men are not really being prejudiced against her because she's a woman. The problem is they keep on wanting to super catch these females up rather than having them go through their proper shit. I'm gonna give you another example and then I'm done. Take Wanda in Marvel, for example. I'm not necessarily saying she's ready to lead her own movie, but if they did like her and Doctor Strange and then her in a Doctor Strange movie, I think that movie would hit $1 billion. Because you saw where she started, you saw where she was. They've never, even though she's a lot more powerful than what they show her, They've never made they've always alluded that she could be more, but even the way she dealt with Thanos, people didn't get mad about that. Because the reality is, you knew she had that kind of power, and the way Thanos handled it was the same way. He said, rain fire. The fuck is this bitch doing? Get this bitch. But he handled it. Now you juxtapose that to how they tried to do Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel has never been that powerful. Because when Rogue took her powers in X-Men, she was never that powerful. But, and so if anything, but no, I don't give a damn about these white, yeah. But these are fixable mistakes. These are things that were obvious. Nothing. This is not about, oh, well, what the fandom menace did, or these white boys. Or, no. The real problem is the white boys weren't the only ones saying shit. There was a lot of black men. There was a lot of black people mad at how Finn was portrayed. And I remember, because I got cussed out on BGS shit because I defended it because it was The Force Awakens. Y'all never know now this channel, his videos are gone. But but I remember because we discussed it when The Force Awakens came up. Charles Faulkner knows, he was in that conversation. He'll tell you. Everybody came at me. And I basically had a we'll see approach. And they fucked me. They fucked everybody. But I'll talk about it next week as far as spoilers. Because there's a lot of stuff to dig into. Even the way they dealt with the New Republic, like they just swept the New Republic aside, and it was supposed to be this fucking magical resistance versus the First Order. I mean, you motherfuckers, you fuck it. And see, this is, I'm sorry, this is how you know you got people in Hollywood don't need to be in Hollywood. Like, there's a lot of people that can put together a lot better stories than what they fucking doing. Stories that would hit. Look, I'm telling you, this Christopher Nolan movie, Tenet, that shit's gonna hit. Watch. Yeah, they did do, yeah, I mean, the way they did, but y'all, okay, so to be fair, what Rey did with Palpatine, that actually happened, and that same scene actually happened in The Force Unleashed. It was the same thing, and actually the same outcome happened, except there was nobody else to bail somebody out. So people try to make it like, oh, well, she just did this and and there was no consequence. That's not true. But one of the things too that annoyed me is you never get to see Palpatine use a lightsaber, which is something I wanted to see. But it's because again, people will lean on the damn feminist part of it, and I try not to knock stuff out just on that, because that's easy. That's too easy to knock it out just on the feminist shit. But anyway, y'all, I'm telling you, I didn't know that. Sigma, you need to go look at that. Shane Vicious said Kathleen Kennedy helped co-produce The Color Purple. I'm going to do some research on that. I believe you, Shane. I just want to see the documents on that, because people will try to act like that shit ain't true. But anyway, I got to pop off. No, they do help. Well, Joker changed the game, but at the end of the day, a lot of these fucking investors in these movies are not gonna keep on letting these motherfuckers just make social justice warrior films and then fucking fuck up their return on investment. They're not, trust me, you gonna see that shit phase out. Unless they start to show that these movies can make money, they're not gonna keep on being able to do that. Because people are gonna start putting executives in here that's gonna cock block that. Saying, no, we're not doing that. They kind of, they've been getting away with that for a couple of years now, because ain't nobody really been paying attention to it. But now you're starting to see an obvious box office hit. People are going to start to say, nah, y'all not going to keep on making these fun. They're going to start phasing certain executives out to have a propensity to do that. And they'll get the message. But anyway, And Ray and Kylo, it would have needed to be both of them. But the problem with the lightsabers, don't get me started. I mean, these franchises can always be rebuilt. I don't ever believe that a franchise is completely destroyed. All they got, like, all you got to do is bring a new team into it. So I don't really take it that seriously like that. Oh, well, they destroy as if Star Wars can never come back. I don't believe that. The Mandalorian should actually tell you that that's not true. But I do understand what you're saying about the destroy shit. But anyway, it wasn't. And you can't blame the black dude. They try to blame the black dude for that, man. But China has never been that interested in Star Wars like that. But anyway, I got shit to do. I will tell you that Witcher, y'all, with Henry Cavill to do to play Superman, y'all should check out that Witcher shit. That shit is good. I'm telling y'all right now, I've seen it. That shit is good. So anyway, I gotta bounce out. So with that said, this is Edward signing off. Peace. What up, Coco?